Peace and light, Grand Kush. The Elohim in the Bible. The Elohim in the Bible. The Elohim in the Bible, it comes from the term El, right? So this is El's Holy Torah, translated by Dr. Malachi Z. York. Can we have a translation today of the Old Testament and the New Testament? Yes. Why? Because the Greeks did the same exact thing. They translated and transliterated older texts to come with the King James Version in their language. So let's discuss this and go over it. For those who ain't got time, just go ahead and click off. I know some of us don't get religious, and I'm not trying to get religious with you, but we're going to cover what the Bible is talking about so we can get a clear understanding, right? Now, the master teacher gave a clear understanding already, but what we got to deal with is comprehension. Was Dr. Malachi Z. York off in his teachings? I don't think so, especially when it comes down to these scriptures. Let's read from the top. Also in Genesis 28:12 through 13, it states, "And behold, the angels, messengers of God, Elohim, God is Elohim, ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am the Lord Yahuwah, God Elohim." This quote is also making a distinction between the Elohim and Yahuwah, the head of the Elohim. Okay, so to check that verse, I got Genesis 28:12 up. And it says in the King James Version, "Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on earth, and its top reached to heaven, and there the angels, right, of God, of Elohim, were ascending and descending down on it. And there at the top, the Lord was standing and saying, I am the Lord." Now remember, Lord is Yahweh, right? "The Elohim of your father Abraham and the Elohim of Isaac. Okay. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you now lie." Okay, kids, as you see in that verse is talking about Jacob's ladder and the messengers of the Elohim descending and ascending on the ladder, and Yahweh or Yahuwah being at the top of the ladder. Let's continue to read. This quote is also making a distinction between the Elohim and Yahuwah, the head of the Elohim. The word for Elohim is Anunnaqi. Now, some may not think that, because when you look into the etymology of Elohim, it's not going to say Anunnaqi. But we're talking about a specific area where these terms are used. We're talking about languages. Okay? So one is older than the other, right? The word for Elohim is Anunnaqi, which means those who Anu sent down from heaven to earth. Now, in the previous verse, dealing with Jacob's ladder, is saying that those of the heavens are ascending and descending up and down this ladder onto the planet Earth. Anunnaqi means those who Anu sent down from heaven to earth, right? So Anu and Anunnaqi is like El and Elohim, and we're going to get into that. They came from the skies to the planet Earth, which was originally called Tiamat, meaning maiden of life, and was also referred to as Tamtu, Tiawawat, and Gi and Ki. Now he's going to tell you where these words are found. The planet Earth was also called Terra, Orb, Ardut, and Ard. When the Greeks got hold of the word Ki, okay, when the Greeks got hold of that word, okay, they changed it to Gi, where the word Geo comes from, or Gaia. The Anunnaki in the Bible are called Elohim. They got their name Anunnaki when they were coming to Earth. The Anunnaki are a race of supreme beings. Now, if you look into the Bible and you look at Elohim, right, this description is for angelic beings and man. The word Anunnaki is used within the ancient tablets such as the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, etc. The word Elohim means these beings or a group of Elos. Okay? The only thing it's not saying is they come down to earth, right? Elohims are angels of El, or messengers of El Elo, who is Anu. Okay? They are physical angelic beings, not spooks or spirits or ghosts. They are a host of beings that do the works of El. While on planet Earth under an appointed being, then they are called El, who is under El, Al, or El. The word Elohim is found throughout the Torah and is falsely translated as God. The name Elohim is used for both agreeable and disagreeable beings and even humans, as in Exodus 7:1, when Yahuwah told Moses that he will make him an Elohim for the Pharaoh. All right, let's check the verse. Exodus 7:1. Then the Lord Yahweh, Yahuwah said to Moses, see, I have made you like Elohim to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron would be your prophet. Okay, Yahuwah made Moses Elohim. Let's go back. Okay, the Anunnaki Elohim originally came to the planet Earth to mine for natural resources for the protection of their planet Risk, which is the 8th planet in the 19th galaxy, ELOHEEM. Now, I'm not going to go in this part. Well, I'm not going to go into there because that's where you start getting the BS, right, of what people believe in. But let's continue to drop down here. Each Elohim is an individual Elo, and when they are in a group, they are Elohim. If they are raised to a supreme being, then they become El, not an Al or El. The Babylonians perceived their deities in human terms and believed that there must be two deities, male and female, for creation to take place. Unlike the translation of El's Torah, translators of El's Torah mistranslated the form of the word Elohim by making them into spooks. Modern day scholars make you think of the description of Elohim as spooks and not human beings. But if you analyze the description of Elohim in the Enuma Elish, you will find it is the same as El's Torah, and it's just the translators who want to spook you out, people who are numb enough or dumb enough to stay in 1400 Mohammedism year philosophy or 2000 year Christianity philosophy, regardless of what the rest of the world says, and 6,000 year Judaism year philosophy, regardless of what facts come out. They will stay in religion. Okay, so let's back up. El for Elohim, and is Anu the equivalent, right? That to say, did Anu come before El, right? And where does Yahweh come from? Okay, because if they're human beings, then they have lineage. And these ancient books talk about their lineage. In fact, There's lineage of bloodline in the Bible. And of course, we're going to hit a wiki right quickie so we can get nifty on the jiffy. All right, so check this out, right? So El, okay? El will be the base of Elohim, right? So let's check it out. Now, as far as this statue, the head crown almost resembles Osiris's head crown, right? But it says El is a Northwest Semitic word meaning God, a Northwest Semitic word. It's not English. Okay, it's not Latin. It's not Greek. It's a Northwest Semitic word meaning God. Okay, so really, when you say God in the Bible, you can say El. El predates God because God is German. Do you dig me? Or deity, or referring as a proper name to any one of multiple major ancient Near Eastern deities. A rarer form, Ilah, I-L-A, represents the predicate form in the Old Akkadian and Amorite languages. Okay, they got specific with these Northwest Semitic languages. They said Old Akkadian and Amorite languages. Okay, do these people predate the Israelites, or were they around at the same time? Where does Israel come from? Okay, what I'm saying is, when Abraham, the progenitor, the father of nations, who brought the monotheistic religions, there was no such thing as an Israelite in his time. All right. Originally a Canaanite deity known as El. Okay. This is followed over into the Torah. So this is letting you know that the Israelites draw their languages, draw their religion from the Canaanites. It's borrowed into El, Al, Il, right? Same with Allah. Was the supreme god of the ancient Canaanite religion and the supreme god of East Semitic speakers in the early dynastic period of Mesopotamia. Now, why did I throw Allah in there? Because who is the sons of Abraham? There was no Allah when Abraham existed, when Abraham's father existed, when Abraham's father existed. There was no Allah, right? Or in the case, religion of the Israelites. But we're going to see that El and Anu is equivalent. Okay? So we're going to jump down here. El is often described as the father of gods and creator of mankind. El had many epithets, including Bull El. Okay, you will find a breakdown of the bull also in Kemet. El the king and father of mankind. Reflecting his authority, wisdom, and paternal role over time in Israelite religion, Yahweh absorbed many of El's characteristics, gradually merging their identities through a process scholars call pantheon reduction. That means they took everything and they condensed it, right? They took everything, all of these gods, and condensed it. In Ugaritic and Levantine mythology, El presided over a council of gods and fathered many deities like Baal, Yam, and Mut. Do you know what you would say in the Torah? That's the Elohim. Okay? Yahweh being one of the Elohim, coming from the Father, which is El. He was depicted wise and kingly, yet occasionally vulnerable, complementing Baal's role as a sustaining warrior. Archaeological texts show El's association with eternity, creation, and divine authority, often with a consort similar to Asherah. Later sources, including Phoenician and Hellenistic, that's Greek, writings, sometimes equated El with other deities such as Cronus and Poseidon. Now you see how the master teacher said the males had to have a female. And when you get down to the Bible, there ain't no female. Yahweh is forming out of the dust of the ground, which is followed in the Quran, that the Adam came from the dust of the ground, from black clay. But when you go back, these Els have female counterparts who are just as powerful. Okay? Now, I want you to pay attention to the right. Because when you start going back into languages, then you're going to go back into Anu, right? Other names are Donai, ancient Semitic religion. It don't even say Judaism. Symbol, bull. Region, Levant, particularly Canaan and Anatolia. What did Canaan become? Israel. Consort, Ashura. Children, Anat, Ashtar, Baal, Mot, Shahar, Shalim, Shapash, Yahweh. You see that? And Yam. Syrian, the equivalents, Dagon. Mesopotamian, Anu and Enlil. All right. It says here on the left, the Semitic root, LH, right? Because you got to take the vowels out. Elah, Aramaic, Allah, Elah, Hebrew, Eloha, may be L with a parasitic H, and L may be abbreviated form of this Elah, right? Egeritic, the plural form meaning gods, is ELOHEEM, equivalent to Hebrew ELOHEEM. So these words existed before the Elohim. There was words that existed before the Elohim. Look, in Roman, El is Saturn. Now, these are the Levantine deities. There is evidence that the Canaanite, Phoenician, and Aramaic conception of El is essentially the same as the Amorite conception of El. So let's go to Anu. Uh-oh. Now look, it said that the word El comes from the old Akkadian. Now we are in Akkadian. We're not dealing with Northwest Semitic now. Anu, Akkadian, sky, heaven. Anum, originally An, was the divine personification of the sky, king of the gods. Okay? He can't be no spook. An ancestor of many of the deities in ancient Mesopotamian religion. He was regarded as a source of both divine and human kingship, and opens the enumerations of deities in many Mesopotamian texts. At the same time, his role was largely passive, and he was not commonly worshipped. It is sometimes proposed that the Eanna temple located in Uruk originally belonged to him rather than Inanna. Now, where is Abraham from? Ur of Chaldees. Okay? They the ones with the horned crowns. Multiple traditions regarding the identity of a new spouse existed, though three of them, Ki, Urash, and Antu, were at various points in time equated with each other. These names come from the Enuma Elish and also in Akkadian, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Okay? El was a bull, right? Anu is the bull of heaven. Okay? We are dealing with his sons, though, when it comes down to these creations and these stories, Enki and Enlil. The equivalent is in the Greek, Zeus and Uranus. Okay, in Persian, Ahura Mazda. And then you got to go into the symbolisms and the things of that nature. Okay. So this is what is predating Islam, Judaism, and Christianity by thousands of years. Okay? So when you stuck in religion, you're dealing with somebody's philosophy. Okay? In the case of Christianity, you're dealing with the white man's philosophy. In the case of Islam, really, and I'm not saying not to practice these religions, but just know where they come from. You're dealing with an Arabian philosophy. We can say, yeah, the original Arabians were black. We can say the original Jews were black. The original Christians, if you want to say, they were black. Okay? But who in America is representing properly their true religion? What does a Christian look like? If you're a Muslim, what does a Muslim look like? Don't tell me a suit and tie. That comes from the European. That's the functions of today. Now we can say the reasons why we don't look like these ancient people is because of the functions of the day. But if you originally these people, first of all, you need to be praying, putting your forehead on the floor. Okay, putting your hands together like Tupac in his picture, that's not the way to pray. When you go get on your knees and you get on the bed, that's not the way to pray. That's not in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? And that's really our problem. When we get into the Bible, we don't want to tie all the way back and just say, this is our way of life. Now there's people with straight hairs, blonde hair, blue eyes, you know what I'm saying, dark skins that's standing in our positions in these religions and thinking that we have no connection to nothing, and they just like, we're from Africa, you understand what I'm saying? Then the dumb niggas. We civilized them. Okay, the way that our people are acting today are in the ways of the uncivilized, in the ways of the devil. Okay, and the devil can't have great shine and bad shine at the same time. The devil is always going to be a devil. Just like God is a God, going to always be a God. But we would like to say, hey, you can also be disagreeable. Yeah, you can. But when you disagreeable. When you agreeable, you agreeable. You can't be flip-floppy. Standing on business like standing on righteousness can be negative. It can be looked at as negative because I'm not appealing to everybody, especially a fucking devil. Right? The names of the gods, their names have changed. They're still the same. The angelic beings are still the same. They're not working with us because we are not working with them. Also, we have to consider cycles of time, expiration date. And when I mean expiration date, minds can change. Okay? In your youth, you strong, especially as a black male, you got strong testosterone. Okay, when you get into my age, 50s and 60s, for some of y'all be fucking y'all bodies up. This early for y'all. In your 40s, you start losing testosterone. Okay? Hopefully you get to the point where you're in your 60s and 70s, you haven't lost your mind. Okay, but this is all a way of life. Furthermore, two circumpolar stars started to be called the Great Anu and Antu of heaven. Okay? This is in the Seleucid era, and received offerings as if they were deities. They typically appear alongside the other 7 major celestial bodies, which were known to Mesopotamian astronomers in the late 1st millennium BCE: the sun, the moon, and the planets Nibiru, Dilpat, Jupiter, Dilpat, Venus, Situ, Mercury, Kayamanu, Saturn, and Sabatanu, Mars. Okay? So the planets had these old Akkadian names. They had ancient Kemetic names. You understand? The days of the week had these languages used. Now, how did we lose power? We know how we lost power. Look how we are conducting ourselves today. Are we conducting ourselves in the light of the Most High? Are we looking like the children of God, children of the light? Some of us is going to church though, but you're going to church following the white man's version of Christianity, which means you're still sinning. And I'm not here to point up the finger. I can't point the finger. You understand what I'm saying? But the question is, how are we living? Is the Bible talking about the salvation of all people? Is Jesus talking about, Yahshua talking about the salvation of all people? Why not just be righteous and not worry about it? Okay? But it's different for a sinner, somebody that's continuously sinning. Okay? And that's what this religion is all for. It's really for the sinners. But in the case of us, it's about remembrance. Who are the sinners? Who were the sinners in the movie Sinners? Think about it. All right, that's the breakdown in El's Holy Torah. Who is El? Who is Yahweh? Who is Anu? Right? Is Elohim and Anunnaki the same? Depends on how you look at the context. Depends on how you comprehend the information. But I just showed you by way of the master teacher's works, the translation of El's Torah, that Elohim and Anunnaki are the same. And you might as well throw in the Tiru in there as well. You might as well throw any pantheon of American gods in there as well. Okay. What we not throwing in there is any European gods, though. With that being said, this is Grant Kush. Like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.